Hi everybody, today we are going to talk about value. Now I've used this term before when talking about the many different versions of crayons. Like for example, I had like 8 different blues in my crayon box. That is value. It's the use of lights and darks in art. Value is what makes art look realistic. It gives it dimension. It turns shapes into forms. And we learned about this in 3rd grade, how a circle, a 3D circle, is a sphere. And a triangle becomes a cone, and a rectangle becomes a cylinder. That's shading. That's value. Value gives dimension. It makes it look like we can grab those pieces of fruit and pick them up, or those cups. It makes drawings look more real. Anybody can draw a pear shape, but when you give it that shading, that value, that's when it starts to become more realistic. It can be shown in color as well. Quite often, we are used to black and white being described with value because it's shading with pencils or charcoal or chalk or something like that. But there's definitely lots of variety in colored value as well. Now you will see that each of these has a little bracket on it. Any thoughts about what that bracket is? That's the actual color of the paint that was used for this. So this bracket is right here. This was the paint. And all of these values above it are the color plus white. And all of these values below the bracket are the color plus black. You will notice that the brackets are higher up on lighter colors. Well, that's because it's harder to make a light yellow. Yellow is already very light. It's easier to make dark yellow. You may also notice that as colors get black added to them, they definitely change, especially the lighter colors, the yellows, the oranges, the reds. They become really, really different. Now, when you add value to drawings, it makes them look a lot better, not just realistic. I'm not talking about only realistic things. This is obviously not realistic. What these are, the next few pictures, are from a family. The dad is a businessman who travels a lot for work. And whenever he travels for work, his kids draw him pictures, and then on the airplane, he enhances the pictures, makes them look better. And he usually does that by adding value, by adding shading. He adds a little bit of texture here. It's the value that makes it look better, without a doubt. This elephant here, and you can tell this is the exact same drawing, for sure. But this elephant, because of the darks and the medium grays and the dark grays, and all of the details, this little bird, you can tell the wings behind the other wing because it's darker. The apple looks like it has dimension. The tree looks round. That's value. Now this one, obviously, the artist is very young. In fact, when I look at this from an art teacher eye, I know that this artist is probably anywhere from 4 to 6, because this stage, when you're 4 or 5 years old, you do this, what I like to call eggs with legs. They have their head, they have their arms and their legs, and that's about it. That's common. And obviously the dad added on some details, but even this silly little drawing looks a bunch better because it's shaded in. This one's great too, those teeth. I love it. You can tell this was like a 1st or a 2nd grader because they're so focused on their teeth. That's when you're losing teeth, and that's a really big deal. And so a lot of their drawings, this poor girl has little problem with her hair too. She's got lots of hair in the back, but absolutely none on top or in front. But again, look at her shoulders. They look round, so much better than in this picture, just from that little bit of shading. Now this one I think is the best example. This is done by a 5th grader, and I think that it really demonstrates my point. This drawing of a pumpkin up here, not a bad drawing, not at all. Colored nicely, drawn well, has a little shadow, but really that shadow kind of looks like a puddle of water, doesn't it? It doesn't really look like the pumpkin is sitting on the shadow. This one down here, worlds better than this. The shadow actually looks like it's on a table under the pumpkin. The pumpkin has darker edges, darker at the bottom. It starts to look like it curves. That's value, friends. The artist in this one used light orange and medium orange and dark orange, yellow orange, orange, and red orange probably in this case because it's crayons, to really give it dimension. Now, the first thing we're going to start with are called value scales. And I have a video here that's going to show you how to create a value scale. I have given you a handout of a blank value scale. It looks like this without any of the coloring in. These are 4 different kinds. Hatching is kind of lines used for shading. Cross-hatching is lines that go back and forth. Stippling is dots, and scribbling is scribbling. And what you should notice about these is they all go from dark to light. Well, we're just going to do traditional value scales, okay? So first I want you to watch the next video, which explains a value scale, and then I will come back and talk about what we're going to do with them next.